Hello everyone, welcome to CodeWeb India. So today I'll be talking about the two technologies that have been created by the same person and yet they are very different. So let's start this Node versus Deno debate. So let's first talk about Node. So Node is a JavaScript runtime environment which in simple terms basically means that it is an environment that provides us all the utilities or APIs that we need to run JavaScript as a server-side language. It is built over the Chrome's V8 engine, which is the fastest JavaScript engine out there as when compared to Mozilla's SpiderMonkey and Edge's Chakra. It is written using C++ and JavaScript. Now comes the main part, its structure part. So Node has only a single thread and follows asynchronous non-blocking architecture. So here single thread is the core building block, only one thread doing all the work, and the asynchronous part basically means that one process does not necessarily have to wait for the previous process to finish. Also the non-blocking part is achieved through the callbacks or you can say promises or async methods. So overall, if someone asks you what Node is, you can say in simpler terms that it allows you to run JavaScript outside the browser, which was a huge thing back when it was launched, and one of the key reasons why it gained so much success. So it was created by Ryan Dahl in 2009. What has changed? So now it's almost been 11 years since Node was launched. So what has changed since then? The launch of Deno made me wonder why we have it in the first place. There must have been some issues with Node, otherwise it works pretty fine. So in this slide, I have written some points regarding it and we'll go through each one of them. So before Node, we mainly have the multiple threaded architectures that were basically a kind of a pain in the ass because of the issues like complexity, shared access data, etc. etc. So when Node was introduced, everything changed. By everything, I mean how we looked at server-side applications. It became more easier to develop and to scale web applications. But it had some issues too. Especially those issues were mentioned by Ryan Dahl himself. So he made a video about it which is titled 10 Things I Regret About Node.js, which if you haven't seen, then please do. It is an awesome video and he explained all the minor flaws that are there in Node.js. One of the main issues that he talked was the entire Node.js architecture is basically based on the callback based architecture, which is irreversible in nature. Though we can make use of promises, async await, but they are fairly new and does not change the way how callback behaves in its entirety. So what comes next? So now we have talked about Node.js and we have talked about what has happened or what has changed since Node.js release. Let's talk about the new technology that Ryan Dahl introduced himself. What is Deno? So Deno is a simple, secure runtime environment also developed on Chrome's V8 engine, just like Node.js, though it is written using Rust and TypeScript. So Rust is a fairly new technology and has been gaining popularity. TypeScript is not that new, though it is loved by majority of JavaScript developers as it basically takes away some silly parts out of the JavaScript. It is also single-threaded just like Node and follows the event-driven architecture. An event-driven architecture is an architecture in which we deal with events, their creation or change of state, etc. etc. So Deno is also created by Ryan Dahl himself. So both of these technologies, Deno and Node.js, are created by the same person. So now we gained an idea about Node and Deno. Let's talk about the key similarities between them. So the first similarity between them is that both of them were developed using the Chrome's V8 engine, which is the fastest engine. The second one is more of a feature that both are great technologies to build scalable server-side applications. And the third one is that they were developed by the same person, Ryan Dahl. Yeah. So now it's time for the differences. So the first notable difference is that how they were developed. So Node was made using C++ and JavaScript, while Deno was made using Rust and TypeScript. Now, the second point that you can see is Node makes use of a common JS syntax to import packages. Like if you have written any code in Node.js, might have used the import statement. And the relative path thing can basically be a headache sometimes. But Deno does not do that. It works with the ECMAScript way, which is the standard now. So it imports directly from a URL. So Node has a famous, I would say probably the famous package manager npm, which you might have heard of, which it uses to import packages, but Deno does not have any package manager. So it lets you import the packages from the help of URLs only, which is quite smart actually. Finally, Deno is more secure as it does not provide access to networks, file systems, etc. by default. So you'll have to enable it explicitly to provide these accesses. So that is what mainly this video is about. But let's look at two more slides. My personal take. My personal take is that I think that Node will be here for at least a decade more. So it is so huge and it's everywhere. So personally, it is not going anywhere. Secondly, it can be said that Deno is an improved version of Node.js, and hence for me, it is the future of Node.js. And finally, if you're beginning the backend JavaScript stack, then you should learn Node first. It is important. So I hope I explained all your doubts. So if I did, please do comment and like. Else, do let me know in the comments. Thank you so much.